Hi everyone, today I'm going to go over ninth chords, their composition, their spelling, and then a few different voicings that you can use. A lot of people know the ones along the A string, but I'm going to go over some others that are really usable and then some others that are kind of more specific. So firstly, there's a difference between ninth chords and as nine chords. So ninth chord implies that there's some kind of seventh, whereas if it's an add nine chord, it just means like a major or minor triad with a ninth note added at the top. So that would be like the root, the third, the fifth, and then the ninth, which is the same note as the second, but an octave higher. So here's a couple of major and minor add nine chords. So there's a really common one that a lot of people probably know. So this is an E add nine. So it's just an E major triad with the ninth added here. So the ninth of the scale of E major would be F sharp. So you just add that into the major triad that you're playing. So I've got the root, the fifth, the ninth, the third, the fifth again, and then the octave. And then you've got the A major add nine, which looks like this. So again, it's the root, the fifth, the ninth, the third, and then the fifth again on top. And then onto some minor add nine chords. So one that a lot of people probably played is this. So that's the root, the fifth, the ninth, minor third, the fifth again, and then the octave. So then this is an A minor add nine, so like this. So that's the root, the fifth, the ninth, the minor third, and the fifth again. So they're the two open shapes that a lot of people probably know. But the most usable way, and you would have heard Hendrix doing this a lot, is adding them on the top of basic kind of E major shaped triads up the fretboard. So say you're playing like a bar chord, so that's an A. And then if you play just the top of it, the top part of the triad, so the root, the third, fifth, and octave, you can add the ninth in with your pinky like this. So that's your add nine. So that would be an A add nine. And then you can do the same thing with minor chords. So if I played an A minor in the same vein, so just the minor, just the third moved down. So that's an A minor triad, and then I just add the ninth in again with my pinky there on that B note. So you can add those into any of those triad sounds. So yeah, you can play your majors and your minors along the string with the add nine of any one of those chords. Or the majors. Or mix it up. So yeah, I find those voicings really usable because you can just add those into any major or minor. And it always just makes them, gives them a bit more like a sparkly, brighter quality. So there are three main types of ninth chord: major nine, minor nine, and dominant nine. But equally, if somebody says just ninth chord, what they actually mean is dominant chord. But the reason for that terminology is because you're not allowed to call, say, a seventh chord or a ninth chord a dominant chord unless it's functioning as a five. So, and what I mean is like a 5-to-1 change, perfect cadence. So if I was to play just an E7 like this, by itself, I'm not really supposed to call it a dominant chord because it's not functioning as a 5. If I was making it function as the fifth chord of A, so going 5-to-1, E to A, then it would be a dominant chord. So I'd be playing like a dominant 7, or I'll demonstrate with a dominant 9th. So it'd be like this, 5-to-1. So then I could call that a dominant 7th because it's going from the 5 to the 1. And then you've also got sharp 9 chords and flat 9 chords. So those are the same as those dominant type chords, but the ninth in a sharp 9th chord is moved up a half step, and then in a flat 9th chord it's moved down a half step. So, you know, a sharp 9 chord, as a lot of you probably know, is that kind of Hendrixy sound, that thing. Yeah, Purple Haze chord. And then you've got the flat ninth chord, which is the ninth moved. So the ninth would be there in our dominant chord. I move it up to get the sharp 9. And there's the dominant ninth again. And then when I do the flat 9, I'm just taking it down a half step. And both those chords function really nicely as dominant chords, acting to get back to the 1. So like the 5 chord of the scale to get back to the 1 chord of the scale. So if I played like a sharp 9 to get to the 1, so here we go. So it works really nicely. Or a flat 9. So they both work really nicely as a cadence. Or you can mix them both up. Something like that. So a major 9 is like a major 7th chord, only with the 9th added on top. So that would be the root, the major 3rd, the perfect 5th, major 7th, and then major 9th on top. And then a minor 9th chord would be like a minor 7th chord with the same 9th note added on top. So that would be the root, minor 3rd, perfect 5th, flattened 7th, so a minor 7th, and then again the major 9th on top, so the same note. And then the dominant 9th chord is just the dominant 7th chord with the 9th on top, same note again. So that would just be the root, the major 3rd, perfect 5th, flat 7, so the minor 7, and then the major 9 on top. And like I just went over, the sharp 9 would be the same as the dominant chord, only with the 9th sharpened by a semitone. And then a flat 9th would be the same chord, that dominant chord, but with the flat 9 instead. So I started off with the chords on the A string, and I'll go over the different types of 9th chord along the A string now. So here's your good old-fashioned major 9 chords. This is a D major 9 chord. Here we go. So you've got the root, the 3rd, the major 7, and then the 9 on top. So notice the 5th isn't in there, and that's because the whole character of the chord is kind of already implied. We have the 3rd and we have the 7, which are the two kind of main notes that cause the sound of certain chords like this with extensions. So then you've got the minor 9, and I'll do it again here on the 5th fret. So we got like a D minor 9 going on. So that is root, minor 3rd, minor 7, and then the major 9 on top, that regular 9 on top. So again, there's no 5th in this one, but sometimes if I'm playing a gig and I want that kind of bright note on top, I'll lay my pinky down over all 3 strings. So if you can do that, you know, you've got access to, it just gives you a broader sound. So then we got the dominant chord, which I already showed you. So it looks something like this. So we've got the root, the 3rd, the dominant 7, and the 9th. And again, a lot like the minor 9, I will pretty much every time I play this chord, I will lay my pinky down over those ones to get that 5th in the top, because it's just a bit brighter and a bit funkier and you can be really snappy with it because you've got that high E string. And then, of course, I already went over the sharp 9 and the flat 9. So these are some of the ones on the E string that I don't really see people using that often. Mostly probably because they can be in danger of feeling a bit muddy and kind of, I don't know, they kind of muddy up the sound a little bit sometimes. But again, these are really usable and they kind of give you a lot more scope for using 9th chords in tunes. Because if you've only got them on the A string, it means you've pretty much just got to be going up and down the A string all the time if you're looking for 9th chords. So if you're reading a chart and you're looking for it and you need a 9th chord, you kind of want more options so you're not jumping up and down one string. So you could just skip down and kind of find another 9th chord that you were looking for. So I'll go over the major 9 first of all. And then straight away you can hear that it's a lot muddier because the root and the 3rd are so close together. You know, there's not a lot of kind of air around those notes. There's a lot of overtones going on. And it's for that reason that if you kind of get below the 5th fret, below that, you're kind of using your A as the root, they can start to sound really muddy like this. So if I go down, you know, if you wanted to go for that sound, that's cool, but I find it, especially in a band setting, it's a lot less usable. So keep an eye out if you're going to be going below the 5th fret, doing those sort of close intervals, you know. But as soon as you go above that, it's totally fine. So the way that one is stacked is root, major 3rd, the major 7, and then the 9 on top like that. But also another way you can kind of stack that major 9 is by playing the 5th instead of the 3rd. I know it sounds a bit strange because we're leaving the 3rd out. We now, you know, if I play it this voicing, there's then no 3rd, so kind of a lot of the identity of the chord has kind of disappeared a little bit. And the more you do that, the more kind of ambiguous the chords sound, but sometimes that can be a good thing if you're looking for a specific chord in an arrangement that you don't want kind of clashing with other things. So then we've got the minor 9. So this is what the minor 9 sounds like. And already around that fret, around the 5th fret, you can hear it starting to get those kind of heavy harmonics and overtones clashing. And if you go below that, you know, it just starts to flub out a little bit. But as soon as you go higher than that, again, it's fine. So the way that one's stacked is root, minor 3rd, minor 7, and then the major 9 again on top. So then we're into the dominant chords. So there's a couple of different ways you can play this one. This one can sound extra kind of muddy if you play it down here on the kind of A fret area, the 5th fret area. But the thing is, because it's a dominant chord, it kind of doesn't really matter that much, because sometimes you want it to be kind of raunchy and kind of really sticking out in the mix, you know. But if you want the voicing to be a little bit brighter, you can play it like this. So again, we're going to abandon the idea of having the major 3rd in there and put the 5th in the top. So this is generally what I play if I'm going to play a 9th chord with the bass, with the root on the E string. And also another way you can do it, you could play all of them like this, you know, if you can do the thumb over chords, and you can also play the 5th on the top, so you could thumb it over and play it something like this. So the way that's stacked, you've got the root, major 3rd, the flat 7, the major 9, and then the 5th in the top. But equally, if you're playing with a band, you don't really need to play the root note. So I do also do that very often when I'm playing with blues bands and things like that. You know, because you can move that around a lot more, and you don't really need to worry about the bass note. Because all these notes are kind of implying that chord. And you might notice, if you're kind of up on your chord knowledge, that I'm basically just playing C sharp, minor 7, flat 5. But that's what the top of a 9th chord is. It's just an inversion, like a minor 7, flat 5, based off of the major 3rd, essentially, of a dominant chord. So then quickly, I don't find myself using these very often, but I'm going to show them to you anyway, just so you've got them in the bank. So you've got that sharp 9, which is going to look something like this. So this is on the E string, so going from the A note. So there you've got the root, the major 3rd, the flat 7, or minor 7, however you want to call it, and then the major 9 on top. And the flat 9, something like this. So this is the note. So the 9th would have been there. So this is our 9th note. And there we had it sharpened. So now we're going to flatten it by a half step. So it's like this. So again, stacked like root, major 3rd, flat 7, minor 7, how you want to say. And then the flat 9 on top. So here's some other voicings that I really, really like. So for instance, if you play, so say you just play a standard E minor, which we all know, and then you add in the flat 7 note there, so we've got an E minor 7. So that's an open E minor 7. And then you can add the 9th note, the F sharp, on the 2nd fret up there, so you get this. So fans of Pink Floyd might have heard that in Dogs from the Animals album. You know, and so on. But that's one of my favourite voicings. It's really, really nice, that one. So this is another one of my favourites. So this is an A major 9. So we had the A add 9 earlier on, so this is the 9th note. And then we've just added the major 7 note in there, so it turns it into an A major 9. And if you're feeling really ambitious, I never use this chord, but I really like it anyway. If you're a fan of Greg Koch, who does the guitar demos for Wildwood Guitars, he plays this one all the time. So that's just a really crazy voicing of an E major 9 chord. I wouldn't recommend it though. And here's another really pretty one. This is another A major 9. So this time we've got the root all the way down there, then the 9th there, then the major 3rd, and then we've got the major 7, and then the 5th on top. Yes, that's a really nice one. Yeah, so thanks for watching. I really hope that kind of opens up the book on a few more kind of options on ways to kind of make your majors and minors and dominant chords sound a little bit more interesting, whether it's for composition or if you're just kind of trying to create your own version of a tune that you're playing. But they're all great voicings to know, and they do pop up all the time in charts and things like that, so they're well worth knowing, you know? So thanks for watching. Check out my other tutorials as well, and like, comment, subscribe, do all that sort of stuff. Yeah, and thanks for watching. Cheers.